Hi, folks, and welcome to another Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt.
And Happy New Year. I'm Mikey.
Oh, when is it too late to say Happy New Year? I had this question with someone a few weeks ago.
Well, I think in general, probably around I don't know, January 11th or 12th or something like that.
Specific.
Well, you know.
I said if you haven't seen someone and it's still the month of January, it's okay to say it.
Well, I think that's the reason why I said it now, because even though it's the 1st of February, I haven't seen you guys this year.
That's
this
true.
is my first time
That's true. So a Happy
this year.
New Year.
So Happy New Year to all.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
All right. Right on.
Right on.
Right on.
Brother.
So, playsets and vehicles that we had.
Yeah.
We're both toy lovers.
And
I will be honest with you, and if I haven't said this, I'm sure I've said this on the podcast before, but action figures were my jam when I was a kid. If you wanted to get me something for my birthday or Christmas and you asked me, I would give you a list of action figures I did not yet have that I needed for my collection. It wasn't even the most desirable action figures. Like, there was one good guy Thundercat that we never had. It was the Walrus guy. I don't know if you remember him.
I remember him from the cartoon.
Very lame.
And
toy.
from other Thundercats property that I've read and seen over the years.
He was not in that, was he? Effercats? Was he in that?
Maybe not.
I don't know.
But Lion-O was.
I'm sure Panthro was too.
Oh, yes, he was.
A little bit of Chitara action in there.
Well, more than a little bit. I mean, she was like the one female, so she had to be in every scene.
Oh, come on. Snarf is there.
That's true.
But I'm sure Snarf was in it too.
He was.
Yeah.
And then when you say action figures, though, does this also include a brand new John Cena Action figure?
Action figure, yeah.
It does include that.
Yeah. But no, I had we had all the Thundercats. I almost called them the other day just a minute ago. We didn't have those, but we had the Thundercats. And one of the things we had was all their friends. Like, there was a samurai swordsman. I had him. My brother got the big gorilla in the snowsuit.
I don't even remember him.
Spear. We had him, and the only one that was left was the Walrus. And my other brother Bray must have gotten some other Thundercat. Well, we got because Mom was really good about getting us ones we didn't have. And the only one left we needed was the Walrus. And I wanted him. Why? Because he was cool? No, he was the stupidest one. But, we wanted him.
He's the one you didn't have.
Because we didn't have him. So if someone had got him for me, I was like, great, now I have them all. I can continue the adventure of Thundercats. One Chitara. 2 Thundercats and 1 Chitara.
Hello.
Hey, but you know what? Everything that we owe to our this is how we got our namesake, Samoflange.
It is actually
was from a deleted scene from Thundercats. Just to remind everyone, we talked about this in the very first episode, episode 0.
Yeah. The origin story. And so all these years later, it comes full circle.
Yeah, it'll come back again too. Another 100 episodes or so.
It will.
But yeah. So that was. I always wanted action figures, and I don't know about your Christmases, but on our Christmases, you could open one present before Christmas, and we always because we were going to our grandparents, the week before, I think. So you could open up one present. And we always looked for the one that was the action figure because we wanted to play with whatever action figure it was.
And you found this out by probably shaking the box, feeling around on the package.
Yeah, you feel around the package. You become a pro at feeling around the packages and stuff like that. You know what an action figure is. You can kind of guess what a vehicle is too.
Right.
Hopefully,
right.
And you know what clothes are, and you're like, well, I don't want.
Oh yeah, you didn't want to touch that one.
You know the McRae's box or whatever the clothes box feels like. It's like no kid ever was excited about getting clothes, except when it was glow in the dark PJs. We were excited about glow in the dark PJs.
How could you not be?
Yeah, it was Transformer. So in the dark they transform.
But it was easy to really tell the package whenever you touched the package, and you could tell the bulge. And you knew that it was the action figure by the bulge of the package. Yeah,
based on how hard the casing was.
Exactly.
Because you knew you could crack on into it
easily.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. Sometimes you kind of rub the edges of it.
Yeah.
to make sure you understood exactly what it was.
That's right. You didn't want to go too far too fast.
And the bigger the present, the more the fun.
I mean, exactly. Y'all had a big family, so there was a lot of packages to touch.
There was indeed. Wait, what are we talking about?
Christmas.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Christmas. So we're going to talk about the top 5 playsets and vehicles that we had as children, and Mikey, crossover, if any.
I mean, I think
This is a hard
crossovers,
one.
since it's just me and you today, and this is a pretty difficult one. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and actually say 1.
Dang it, I was going to say 1. I will say I have to go 0 because I don't think there's going to be 2.
Well, I think 0 is probably the right answer.
I don't know.
But there may be 1.
There may be 1. That's a good.
I'm looking at 1.
Yeah, I'm looking at 1 too. I wonder if it's the same one. But here we go. And by the way, we do not talk about this prior to.
We do not.
To be fair, I don't think we talked about this at all. I don't think we've talked about this in the past.
I think we've talked about this in passing when discussing other subjects.
Maybe so.
Because there's one particular thing that we really, really, really got on BJ about right before Christmas, if you remember. And if you don't, we'll bring it up. I'll bring it up.
Yeah. I remember. Herpes.
Number 5 on my list, since I'll go first. All right, this is a little bit out of the box because one of the things, I don't know if people know this, we very, very rarely will talk about the context of our list beforehand.
We never do.
Yeah,
we never do.
We have a topic and then we don't because we want to be surprised. We want everything to be authentic
it keeps the
and
conversation
genuine.
Fresh. Yes.
Yes. So some of these may be way out in left field, but when I hear, and see the topic, top 5 play sets and vehicles, my number 5 of ones that I had is, and I'm going on the vehicle route here, is a styrofoam airplane. Now, do you remember
counts.
The big, huge,
yes.
two-piece styrofoam?
The wing goes into the center.
The wing goes into the center.
Wasn't there a third piece for the tail fin?
I guess there could have been.
I think it was.
Yeah. It was small.
But it all fit in one cylinder, kind of.
Right. So the reason why I chose that was because I think I had, probably 5 or 8 of those throughout my childhood. But I loved them. Now, you had these little bitty ones that are whatever, and then you can make paper airplanes that were whatever. But if you had that big honking styrofoam one,
it was gliding across the front lawn. Yeah.
And I was the type of kid that climbed up on the roof of my house.
And threw it off.
And threw it, yeah. And, we had a pretty easygoing neighborhood, so we could go into the street and had a pretty big yard. Yeah. So there was a lot of space. And I always had a lot of fun with that joker.
That counts.
Yeah.
We also had, and I need to look these up now that you just kind of sparked my memory about this. We had these little light plastic birds with rubber beak noses that look like combs, and you turn them on, their wings flapped, and you threw them, and I think they flew a little bit.
I don't know that.
I now have this image of that when you said that, because I remember doing that, or trying to fly these birds, and we went off the roof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many things came off of my roof. I mean, pretty much everything I owned at one point flew off of the roof.
I came off the roof more than anything else.
Yeah, I did too. Onto a trampoline one time.
You jump off onto a trampoline, which is great. That's the best thing in the world, unless your pool was near your house. But jumping off with your blanket tied around your throat or a sheet that you were Superman, Batman, whatever, and you were striking a cool pose as you were jumping down, or you were flying for 2 seconds, really falling, but you were pretending you were flying, was the best thing in the world.
Why isn't that, since this is the age now of cell phones and TikToks, why isn't that a trend on TikTok?
It should be, because people aren't that dumb now, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But you know what? The 80s had fun.
We did have fun.
We talked about this before. Maybe we'll touch on this on another one. But riding behind the bug spray man, when we talked about that at the redneck parade.
Maybe that's what's wrong with us.
Jumping off roofs.
Yeah.
Just some good old boys.
Or maybe that's what's right with us.
That's right. All right, good pick. I like that. I like this. I like outside the box. This is fine because it's up to you to decide what you like. My number 5 is it's a vehicle that I never collected anything from the toy line because I wasn't a fan of the toy line. Someone on my birthday gave me the He-Man Spider, the little spider walker. You said I don't know what he was called, but he looked like a spider. You could sit so we would just turn him on, and the mechanical spider would move, and all my superheroes would fight him. He was a perfect giant villain to fight. Mom was not happy because it looked like a bad nightmarish thing. But I was like, this is great. We have a great bad guy for Superman and Batman, and all my the G.I. Joes had to face him. Everyone has to face him.
So you didn't have any He-Man characters?
I didn't have a single He-Man character. I was not a He-Man fan because I could not believe that no one knew that Prince Adam was not He-Man. The guy's got to bathe.
But you had Superman.
I didn't like. That's why I don't like Superman.
The ultimate glasses.
And I didn't like. That's why I don't like Superman. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a lame one too. But even more lamer and lazier was He-Man. Mm. Shirt, no shirt. Get out of here. At least you see someone in glasses. They look a little different at first. At first glance.
Right.
But shirt or no shirt, get out of here. Get out of here. But anyway, that was my number 5. What's your number 4?
So my number 4. Let me see here. Okay, so I'm sticking with the vehicle things.
I'm fine with this.
I had, I would say maybe 3 of these. 2, maybe 3's overshooting it, because I took care of my toys pretty good as a kid. But I always loved these, so I always tried to have one in my house. And it was just a regular. We'll just stick with the word regular. It was the regular default Hot Wheels loop-de-loop track.
I remember this.
Not anything fancy or crazy, but just the one that had like the big loop, and so
that counts as a playset.
Yeah. You pushed it down and it went through the loop, and then it ramped out the other side, and like
that's all it did.
That's all it needed to do, and I would do that forever.
Yeah. No, you know what? That's kind of funny because that's all we needed.
Yeah.
Was just a little Hot Wheels race car track.
Yeah. Because we would add to it with anything around the house. For me, it ended up being like, stack some books up over it. See what all it could jump over.
What could jump over?
Rocks, whatever, like a broom, a vacuum cleaner.
Put it on top of the table and watch it fly off the
pillow.
table.
Yeah, whatever. Like, that was the fun, just to see how far it would be. And then what car you had, if it went further, so you'd have, competition. Even if I was by myself, it would be a competition to see, which car would go further and jump how many pillows.
It's like the Olympics of Hot Wheels. Here.
The Super Dave Osborne of Hot Wheels, if you will, the Evil Knievel.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man, but I love the Hot Wheels. My dad was a mechanic, so like we always had cars and car parts around the house. So like Hot Wheels were just a dime a dozen around my house. So,
every kid we had Hot Wheels growing up back in the day. We had the City, the Hot Wheels City. Yeah. That was a fold-up suitcase.
I remember that.
You'd open it up. It was 2 tiers where they could fly down there, ring bells, go through car washes, whatever. It had little bells and whistles you could do with it. And those were and we played with those cities over and
they
over
were cheap, right? Like most toys were cheap back there. Of course, relative to today, like with inflation or whatever. But even then, even though all stuff was cheaper back then, Hot Wheels were still that much cheaper.
Yeah,
you could get cars for 50 cents or 69 cents or whatever. And so
we would play with the cars over and over. Yeah. There are some of our favorites we'd save onto our top shelf.
Yeah, you had like they're almost like Legos in the sense of you could have a bucket full of literally 50 cars.
They're great. Those are great things. I love them, and you could, even though we didn't have them, now they're doing like Batman and stuff like that, all these cool ones too, but back in the day they had all these unique, I remember the animal ones.
Yes.
Those? We had the dragon, the tiger, all those people.
I like the monster trucks ones. What really always impressed me about Hot Wheels more than any other vehicle toy line was whatever Hot Wheels did, they just knew how to make a car that rolled well.
That's exactly right. Unlike Matchbox.
Yeah, Matchbox, no.
Which was cheap little plastic wheels that didn't go that far.
It's like going to Walmart or whatever and getting that buggy with the one wheel that's like sticks.
Wow, it's all about the die-cast metal and the smooth ride.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there was, don't get me wrong, but I can't remember a Hot Wheel car that didn't just roll great.
Yeah, unless you're cruding it through the mud and got
right. Unless you did it.
But when it sails, man, it's smooth. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
All right, number 4 for me. I almost mentioned this when we were talking earlier, but the Thundercats vehicle. We had the Thundercat car.
Oh yeah.
And that was a big deal for me because that's the thing you saw in all the TV shows. And even though we had action figures, we very rarely got vehicles and play sets. So if we did, it was very cherished. Mm-hmm. But the Thundercat car is one we had, a super classic, and loved it. I don't have to explain it because everyone knows what it looked like, but you had the car.
How was the back seat?
It was like the Legendary.
big,
it's okay.
big enough.
You put Kit and Cat in it or whatever their names were. And Snarf. If you had a Snarf. We didn't have a Snarf. Back then, Lion-O didn't come with Snarf. The first package didn't.
Right.
He came with the glove and the sword. And then later on, they packaged him with Snarf. I was like, come on. And Snarf was like a squeezy toy. It wasn't really that big of a deal, but I wanted that Snarf.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to remember if I even had Snarf, but
he came with Lion-O later on.
I don't remember some of those.
So people would buy Lion-O again.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what was number 3?
All right, so my number 3, if there is a crossover, this is the one that's a possibility. But I did have, and I think this is something that we didn't mention before.
Mine too.
Right.
3 is at mine.
I did love it because I love the toy line and I love this vehicle, the Ninja Turtles van.
Okay, no, I didn't have that.
That was,
I wanted that. But you're right. That's classic.
Yeah, it's classic. That was one that I did have. There were a lot of classics that I didn't have, unfortunately, but that one I loved a lot. Maybe it's because it was probably on the cheaper side of things. I don't really remember, but
I mean, all you needed, if you could pick 4 toys from that line, it'd be the Ninja Turtles. If you could pick one vehicle, it'd be the van, and then you're good.
Yeah, and then you're good.
You really, I mean, honestly, you really don't need anything else because you can fight Barbie dolls or whatever else is in your room.
Right.
As long as you have the 4 turtles in the van,
you're good.
Honestly, that's all I got from Ninja Turtle toy line. I'd have been happy.
And the van was good. It was a real good toy. It was a real good van, and it stuck.
Did it shoot like little pizza disc or something?
You know,
I want to say like they're a little plastic piece with a sticker on top, that look like pizza.
I can't for the life of me remember what extra things it did. It very well could have. I just remembered it and carried my turtles around, and we had a good time.
Yeah, I think because I remember looking at it, and never owning it, but I think you popped up the side, and the little chair would shoot out.
That's right.
And Donatello was there.
And they would attack all my Hot Wheel cars that were trying to chase it. So I kind of blended that together.
Wow. So, the Hot Wheel, the size ratio is a little off there, though.
Well, I mean, you got to have like the big, huge van, and that's the heroes, and all the little minions chasing it.
Okay, I see that. My Hot Wheels basically, I mean, they match with other cars the same size as them, but they never really crossed, even with Micro Machines. I kept those separate. We played Micro Machines later, and I love little Micro Machines.
Mm-hmm. Another cool thing about those Hot Wheels, though, is that you could take other characters, G.I. Joes, because I did have a lot of He-Man stuff, and you could put them on the Hot Wheels like their skateboards.
Go-kart?
You
did that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did that. Oh, my gosh. I rubber banded them. I taped them. Some of them I glued. Who cared?
I remember some of our exact favorite. Wow, you glued some.
My mom used to do a lot of arts and crafts, and I hot glued stuff
Shut
together.
The front door.
Yeah, because Elmer's wouldn't work, but that hot glue would work. But then it would end up
eventually
burn the feet off of the some of the not Ninja Turtles but He-Man people. But who cared? It didn't matter.
Oh well, you sacrifices you make for the.
It was fun.
You remember I don't know if I told you this, but the package. You open it up in the little clear container where the action figure was.
Oh yeah.
We'd keep that, fill it with water, put our guy in there, put him in the fridge, and freeze him.
Oh,
and that was carbonite.
Oh, yeah.
And so all of our Star Wars figures got frozen in carbonite at one time.
Nice.
And we had to slowly wait till they thawed out. The best part was playing with them outside where they were automatically thawing out. And you'd be like, I'm helping you, Han, hurry. And you're rubbing them off as the ice melted.
Why don't we do that these days? Like, why does everything have to have a value to it? Like, why am I, like, and I'm not talking about other people. I'm really talking about myself. Like, I have a collector's mentality. I used to collect a lot of things. I've gotten rid of a good bit of stuff. But it's like, you know what? Like, hearing these stories, it just makes me wish that that's just what I did with them,
Yeah.
I wish that I just played with them now,
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I thought I'd never... I'll tell you, I'm kind of already getting into my number 3 here. It's the X-Wing.
Yeah.
When I had that X-Wing, and my brother got one too. My brother for some reason, had the damage stickers on there too.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I don't want my X-Wing looking damaged. My brother loved the exposed wires, the shredded metal things. And so his was, and it separated, Mom was fine with it because it separated whose X-Wing was whose. So his was all beat up and scarred and scratched. He thought it was cool. I didn't. I like my X-Wing nice and perfect and smooth, but it made a noise. You could push the little button in the back, and I think R2-D2 would make a noise maybe, and you could shoot too.
You could definitely shoot. I can't
okay,
remember
R2-D2
about R2.
didn't make a noise.
He might have. I just don't remember.
I want to say you could press him, but I don't remember. I know there's a little button on the back.
It sounds like something they would do back then because that's simple and easy.
Yeah, but when the batteries got plugged in, you could unlock and lock the X-Wing, the wings, and just go and play, and that was just like oh man, I got an X-Wing, I can live. And of course, everything. You'd be flying around the house and barely miss the wall, or there's the post to the kitchen. Whoa, just missed out again. And flying through we had like little bars in one little section. It was the 70s room.
You had to go sideways.
And you had to go sideways and slowly fit through it, but sometimes you had to work it through. But that's fine because he barely made it through in slow motion. And you'd be flying around the house and barely clipping, whoa, look out, moving away from the air conditioner as you juked up. And oh man, just so I got my steps in. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you did.
I got my exercise in. But such a great vehicle. I thought that was the one I thought that made crossover. But it's okay. We still got 2 more.
Well, I doubt these other 2.
Okay, then I'm looking at locked. Let me see if mine.
You're pretty much
maybe
gonna
not.
Win. You're pretty much
all
gonna
right.
win.
I may have won here, which is fine.
All right. So number 2, and once you eventually hear my number 1, it all makes sense.
Okay.
But in any other world, number 2 for me would be number 1. This is one of my favorite toys of all time.
Oh
my gosh, yes. And it's still near and dear to my heart today. The Hasbro. Now, there were other...
I like how you clarified that.
No, it has to be Hasbro.
Okay.
The Hasbro WWF wrestling ring.
I know exactly what you're
Yes,
talking
you do.
about.
With the Hasbro figures, because those are the best wrestling figures that have ever been produced. They're worth a lot of money these days. People collect them. They had all the different backs, but forget about the collecting side of it. They were the ones that had the kind of straight, slender body, the bigger kind of upper body that could twist or do something with their arms.
Yep.
They were like highly cartoonishly detailed.
Yes.
But that wrestling ring was just blue, and it had the ropes, and on the outside it had the 2 bells, and then you could get they might have been like a chair or a garbage pail or something that came with it. Something maybe.
The guy who had his probably lost it. He just had the ring and some of the wrestlers. But we would play with that.
Yes, absolutely. A Macho Man had to come off the top rope.
And but he'd be doing wrestling matches, and when we do some wrestling matches, you're like, man, this is just great. We weren't even into wrestling that much back then. But when we saw the ring, you're just automatically attracted to it. It's like the gladiator arena.
It was, yeah. And those figures, there were so many figures that were produced, and some of them were very rare. I have 2. They're out of the package. It's the Rockers, because Shawn Michaels is my favorite wrestler. So I have the tag team of the Rockers. But I do kind of keep up with that particular collector's item to kind of see how much they're going for. And, they still go for a pretty good amount of money. But I was amazed at how many rare versions there are out there, because if you remember, you're talking about like having an action figure in the plastic. What was really, really popular about these was the cardboard backing, because there were some wrestlers had multiple versions of the cardboard backing that had different outfits that they wore and different clothings, different like eras, because like you might have a Macho Man from 87 and then a Macho Man from 89 and a Macho Man from 91, and they could be different, or Ultimate Warrior with different face paint.
Right. Okay, gotcha. So just like different versions.
Different versions.
Gotcha.
And so some, just like any other,
collector's item
like that, if it's rare and whatnot. But anyway, long story short, that wrestling ring was just so much fun for us because it was so simple, and once again, like you said earlier, it was another one of those things that was universal, because you could put anything in there. The He-Man could wrestle.
Everyone could fight in the ring.
G.I. Joe could fight in the ring. Ten Ninja Turtles could get in the ring.
It was a toy for every toy.
Right. Yeah. So then you could have these just dream matches. All of a sudden, Hogan is fighting Donatello, and
only on pay-per-view.
And then 30 years later, that's the type of stuff they put on the new Mortal Kombat's, and you're like, we were doing this forever ago.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
With real toys, though.
I know Thunder Lips wins.
My number 2 comes from one of my favorite lines, the Superpowers line. We got the Batmobile. I'm a huge Batmobile fan. It had a battering ram in the front. The headlights went up, which was the coolest thing in the world for me.
Now, what version of the Batmobile was this?
This was the 70s version, based off the cartoon.
Okay.
But one of my favorite versions. The one from the cartoon, Super Friends.
So by that point, I'm trying to picture it, though.
Blue,
it was not
2-seater.
It was not convertible like Adam West? Did they...
It was similar, but different.
Okay.
Similar, very similar, but not as 60s.
Yeah. Okay.
Think more 70s.
Yeah, I got you.
But it had looked like it was blue with on the hood looked like a black bat head, and the headlights would pop up where his eyes would have been as yellow.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
So that was really cool. And there was a claw on the back that you could spring a trap with someone sneaking up. And on the box, I think it had the penguin getting trapped in the pinchers and being dragged away. So of course we had the penguin toy. And when I talk about these toys, I remember how they feel. I remember how their legs move. I remember every detail about these toys too, by the way. And we'd snatch him, but when you try to drag him along, he'd fall out because the claw didn't hold on to him that well. So I was kind of disappointed with the claw. And by the way, who's going to back up into the Batmobile when they know there's a claw there? I don't know. A battering ram, you can't, I'm driving in front of you. You can't stop the battering ram. And the headlights were just cool. And I don't know if it made a sound, but it had those little, bells and whistles on it. But yeah, a claw in the back. I didn't like that. But I was excited because we had the Batmobile. So Batman and Robin could now drive. Because how was I going to get my characters from one place to the next without a Batmobile?
I mean, maybe he could get into the X-Wing.
Shut your effing mouth. No one gets in the X-Wing but Luke. Batman in the X-Wing. Preposterous.
Well, but what about, what's his face? Wedge.
He wasn't a toy back then.
Did it have a Wedge Antilles toy?
I don't think so. Not back in the original Kenner run.
That makes sense, yeah.
All right, so what's number one? I think I won.
Yeah, you won, definitely.
Yes.
So mine, once again, I'm going on a vehicle, and this might be a super stretch, but it was by far my favorite thing when I was a kid.
Okay.
There is one of my, you know how, like, now that we're a little bit older and you look back at old pictures, you know how there's like, 100 good pictures, but there's like 4 or 5 that stand out as like the best of the best. The pictures that your family's always going to pick on you about.
Yes.
The ones that are
always
one. That's going to come up, or ones that even you look back on and you're like, okay, that's probably one of my top 4 or 5 favorite pictures. There's a famous picture of me in our driveway. I was probably like 5 years old. I have on a little beanie hat. I got on my Velcro shoes that were blue, and I'm sitting in my Dukes of Hazzard big wheel.
Oh my land!
So that is my number one, my Dukes of Hazzard big wheel, because they had yellow handles with tassels that came out.
I remember that.
And then on the wheel itself had like stickers, slices of like the rebel flag, and then the Dukes of Hazzard like words. I loved that thing so much. I rode it everywhere I went. And you want to talk about something that you literally can't find anymore. This is something that's just not out there. If you look on eBay, you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
I think one time, months ago, I happened to run across one, and it was like $6,000. But they're just, because they weren't toys per se. They never were going to stay in a box. They were plastic. So, to find one these days that's even in halfway good condition would mean that a kid really didn't ride it. It survived fires and muds and rains.
And some kid who didn't ride it must have died at an early age.
Exactly, because you rode the hell out of that thing.
Yeah, until there were holes in the front big wheel.
Right. So I know that it's a little bit different than toys, but that thing and me were inseparable. I loved it. I have no idea what happened to it.
If I were rich, I'd manufacture those puppies.
And I would buy one.
I'd just
scratch that. I would make you give me one.
Yeah, I would. I'd make adult versions for us all to ride.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
And the horn would make noise.
Oh yeah, no,
Sing Dixie,
oh my gosh! Now this thing.
You talk about dreams come true.
You get Megan like a Daisy's Jeep one.
Megan would be pissed if she did not get a Dukes of Hazzard one. She screw Daisy's Jeep when it comes to a big wheel.
She wants the.
She wants the Dukes.
Yeah, she'd be right there with us. Yeah, I don't know. It just meant a lot to me. I wish I knew what happened to it. That'll just be something that I'll never know. But I probably just rode the wheels off of it.
Good pick. I've been naming vehicles all the time. My number one is the only playset that I can remember having, and it was the grandest of all. When I was a kid, you used to tell me one playset, Hall of Justice. Dang. And my parents got us the Hall of Justice. Superpowers was my favorite line. It was a present we all got. We had no idea what it was, and when we opened it up, I fell apart. I was like, oh my gosh! And it had little trap doors and jail cells for the bad guys, and of course, it was also a compartment to hold all your action.
Now,
figures.
How many bad guys did you have? Did y'all just stick with heroes?
Several. No, we had several bad guys: Joker, Penguin, Lex Luthor. A lot of them. So it was so much fun. So much fun playing in the League of Justice. It's just great.
Did Justice League that particular toy line? But did it have Because I'm thinking post 66. Did it have Riddler? Did it have a Catwoman?
Oh yeah. We had Riddler. It did not have a Catwoman, but we did have Riddler. And
Mr.
Riddler was my
Freeze,
favorite.
Egghead.
It did have Mr. Freeze. We had a Mr. Freeze. Didn't have Egghead.
Okay.
No, this is think 70s,
Sure,
80s, yeah, 70s. But yeah, good stuff. Well, so folks in the comments, let us know what are your favorite vehicles and play sets that you had, and we'll see you next time on
Saturday
Morning
Samo